Hey, morning, folks. This is Brian. We got to play some RuneQuest last night. Well, RQ3. It's Elderath. We got to play some Elderath last night. Oh, and I don't want to say it was a long one, but a lot of stuff happened. Holy cow. So, we last left the party in year 684 of the Lords of Bloodstone, which is year 28 of Lady Tamara, and that will become important this session. Year 7 of the Zodiac. Hair in my mouth. Sorry. Grailus, which is the fasting zodiac for vows and initiations. Oh, that might have some significance as well. It is month 4, Lorvain, which is the first month of summer. It's week 4, day 8, which is called Kos, and that's like a holiday, no work day, like a weekend deal. So anyway, when we last left everybody, Runt had returned in time to see Wes attempting to run away. The two of them discuss issues and come to terms to keep the party in the dark about what was going on with Wes. But that actually changed. Raymond gets up and finds Runt in the dining room, whatever, counting out coins. It's about 600 silver worth of silver and gold coins. But does wheedle out of him that he did something that the family has in fact been taken care of, so they've got some money. Okay, so the dog. Did the dog show up earlier? He must have. Yeah, he showed up last session. So anyway, the dog seems to be needy. Is barking all night until Alexander sleeps with it, bringing it in or going outside. So anyway, later on that first day, Wes fesses up to Raymond and agrees to do better on the deception thing. Wes in general is a generous person. I use that King Arthur Pendragon traits matrix to give me some idea of how to role play him. And his deception and lustful is at a 14, so that's above average. And so I kind of play him that way. But he's also got a high generosity and shoot 2 or 3 other ones. His generous is like 16. So, coming from a family with lots of money, he can afford to be generous, or used to be able to afford to be generous. That again plays into things. And so I played him that way. But, over here in Kos, where he has no access to funds, and they've got, this property that's going to suck up money, and that has really put him in a almost dangerous and dark place mentally. So, trying to work through all that. As time goes on, we have some discussions with the GM. Oh, live plays in the description. It is a long session. So this session actually covers a significant span of time. As we're doing just narrative stuff going on. So Wes is working to get into the Mages Guild. That's what he wants to do. Raymond and Alexander are focusing on farming, taking care of the land and plant lore, working on the vineyard. Alexander's also working with his dog. Runt is doing his thing at the temple, keeping the grounds, and he and Wes do supply runs into town. And the party as a group, except for Runt, is studying lore from the book that we got from the library at the Temple of Elemental Evil sessions and sessions and sessions ago. But the only one who can read is Raymond. It's because it's in Norse, right? So Raymond will read it in Norse and talk to us about it. We'll all have discussions, and he's kind of trying to teach us to read Norse as well. So we get through our occupational checks. So there's a discussion piece where the GM, who's actually in my game, so we have an end of season phase in RQG. He likes that concept, and so we kind of play with that. Where what kinds of things would you be doing over, since we got the land this month, kind of thing? Are we doing just in general to do stuff? Pick 4 things, and make checks for them. We also get to work on this Reed Norris and the plant lore with Raymond and the party getting together. It's kind of a research from the research and training piece of RQG. And it was brought up that we need to remember that Herman has expressed interest with his associates being able to invest in the vineyard. So there is access to funds, but of course that requires us to turn a profit and send some of that elsewhere. So we're in just in the beginning paces, fixing stuff fixed and getting things running. When it comes to actually making, I don't know, we don't have a distillery, do we? Oh, we might. I'll have to ask about that. We actually get into the process of, okay, we're now making funds. Let's get some money in to actually get real production going. Right now we're just fixing stuff. And there's some comments as Wes is going to the Mages Guild. There's certain areas in town that are obviously better off than other sections of town. There's some cobblestone, there's actual paving, and there's dirt and mud, and that kind of stuff for roadways. But the Guildsman Lane is paved. So, Wes going to town with Runt, supply run kind of thing, goes to the Mages Guild, opens up, there's, locks, and opens up, there's like a lounge area, the youngest looking young man there in gray robes, and Wes asks about, initiation into the Guild's association. Explains who he is, and the young man says, "Oh, aren't you that group that found the pseudo-dragon egg?" Well, yeah, we are. And he mentions that membership is only, provides not the right word, granted, there we go, granted with sponsorship. So Wes says, "Oh, okay, roger that. Thank you for your time." Starts to leave, but as he starts to leave, he can hear the young man running down the hall. What's that all about? Anyway, so Wes heads over to the Temple of Lorath to see Runt, because he's thinking, hey, maybe I can ask Captain Krim to get an introduction to the historian, the guy who came out with him to the mine, because that's the only connection that Wes really has with the guild, and see if he can't, work that angle to try to get a sponsorship, perhaps. But Runt hasn't seen her, so Wes goes inside, asks an acolyte, and finds out that she is out at the mine because something happened. She and like 15 guardsmen went out to the mine because something happened. And then Wes is reminded, well, we got that contact with Herman. Herman's got contact with the historian. Oh, okay. So he heads over to Herman's and asks about arranging a meeting with the historian from the Mages Guild. And at that, Herman says, let's go for a walk. So they go over to the open courtyard area, get a couple of coffees, and sit down and discuss things. It turns out that the historian does not like us. And also that has to do with this whole pseudo-dragon and not willing to sell it to him, but then trying to rat him out afterwards. This is something happened with Alexander, possibly Runt. But, Wes wasn't there, and so I don't really remember too much. I remember it happening. But there's some discussion going, oh, yeah, that's right, okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, he does not like us. And there's also some discussion on why I want this, and because Wes wants to, get another spell list or two, that kind of thing. He wants to expand his repertoire of spells. Specifically, he wants to get Shield Mastery because that'll help defensively help him out. And with his, little bit of armor, his low amount of armor, that can be of value. So anyway, there's some more discussion going on, and Herman tells me, okay, the guild itself is not a school or a college or anything like that. It's just a guild of practitioners. They get together because they all do the same thing. But interests require sponsorship, and hence my interest in contacting the historian. But Herman's associates, again, do have an interest in the activities of the guild. It's almost like an underground kind of thing with these, I don't know if call them merchants or not, but Herman is an associate. So they can attempt to make arrangements for me to meet an individual in the guild. No, no assurances by any means. And there's this, if we do make some connection, some compensation would be appreciated. That kind of thing, right? But very low key on this kind of thing, just kind of leaning into it, You know, making these connections can get costly. Wes understands. He agrees. Herman has a big smile on his face. And that's if we're going anywhere for the next week or so. And we're not planning on. We're trying to get the vineyard up and going, so we don't anticipate any changes. Though, and I do mention I had heard about an instance out at the mine. Also, in this whole discussion, Herman asks about Wes's areas of expertise and his capabilities, and he mentions he deals in light and wind. And when he mentions wind, that catches Herman's attention. Herman's got these wheels rolling the back of his head, and the GM's mentioned this almost all the time. And that I'm a journeyman, I'm moderate to above average. The actual, I looked it up later in RQG. They talk about these percentages equals this capacity, and he's a professional. Not just a veteran, but he's a professional. And then Herman asks about the college in Telgar, and that's where Wes learned magic. He's a graduate of the college. That he is in fact a journeyman. And I'm putting notes in here about that's professional level. Wes asks Herman asks if Wes had graduated from the college. He said, "Yeah, I'm a graduate of the college. I'm a journeyman. I'm out practicing my profession and attempting to learn from others and to share and that kind of stuff, right?" So you see lots of wheels spinning in Herman's head, and he will see what arrangements he can make. But it may take some time. So Wes heads back to the villa. Okay, next day Alexander is looking at armoring up his dog. He wants to help protect the dog. Get some kind of leather vest kind of thing, like a dog sweater. At least that's the impression I got. I know what a dog sweater is. We used to have a little dog, and the more time we put a sweater on him. And if you build something like that out of heavy leather, yeah, that protect the chest and the fore and hindquarters of the animal. So he goes into town to meet with the tanner when Runt and I go in. So Runt goes to see. Well, Runt's down. He goes to see Herman about buying that thing that he saw in Herman's shop. And this is another story of things going on. So the guy up front, whose name I have written down later on, Hector, he goes back, talk to Herman, and there is shouting going on back there. But Herman comes out, and he looks angry at first, right, when he comes out. But he sees that Runt is all by himself. And he asks, are you alone? What can I help you with? And so Runt is there all by himself. He says, yeah, that thing from... no, yes, yeah, that thing. And Herman asks if he knows what it is, and Runt tells him something. It's some foreign language that nobody understands. I know what it's called. You do? Yeah. So Herman now seems intrigued. Okay, come on. And he whispers something to the shopkeeper about a safe word. You know what to do. Okay. So, back in the warehouse, things are different than before. Still piles of things, but it's been moved around. It's not the same. But as they're looking around, Runt sees a couple of wires sticking out of something. That must be it. Because they don't have wires here, that kind of thing. So he points that out, and they go over there, and that looks pretty deep, and so Herman starts digging around. But he successfully excavates the object and pulls it out. Asks, what is it? And Runt tells him something in this foreign language. And he says, sorry, I don't speak Norse very well. And then Herman asks about it and kind of shakes it. Where have you seen one of these things before? And Runt makes up this line about stories he heard when he was younger, little fairy tales and stuff. And Herman asks how does it work, and Runt tells him something in this foreign language. It mentions it does look broken. He says, now that I see the condition it's in, I don't think I still want it. And Herman asks, what's it worth to you? And so there's a little kind of haggle goes on. But then, they bring it out front, And Herman tells Hector that Runt is interested in his curio, and hands it off to Hector and Runt to do their thing. Apparently I missed this, but Runt had mentioned about when it was supposed to be, he said 3 silver, and Herman goes, 3 silver, that kind of thing. And then he sends it out to Hector, because Hector's the bargainer, right, to do his thing. And Hector's looking and goes, look, there's some gold in there. It's worth 11 silver at least. Somehow that's my final offer came out, but I don't remember that being that way. And so they start bickering back and forth on price, and Runt's not a bargainer, so he's just, he finally tells him, hey, Herman, I offered Herman 3. And then they get in this whole thing about, Herman handed you off to me so we could haggle this thing, get a decent price out of it. We're bartering here. But Runt sticks with, hey, Herman agreed to 3. And so Hector goes back to discuss things with Herman. And Herman says, yeah, he offered 3, but I didn't agree to 3. That's why I sent him out to you to deal with it. Deal with it. But at that point, when Hector comes back with the object, Runt puts 6 silver on the counter and says, final offer. And then he mopes, hoping to make Hector feel guilty, but does not do so. Later that evening, at home, back at the vineyard, everybody's around. He does a special reveal, and he and Alexander discuss the object in Carillion. It's actually a solar panel. And so they're discussing all kinds of things. Well, what can we actually use it for? Can we do something with it now? And there's this thing about, it holds and conducts energy and stuff like that. Maybe we could use it to charge up Wes's power crystal. No, Wes is not going to let anybody touch that crystal. Okay, next day, Alexander... Oh, please. I missed the P. Sorry about this, guys. Next day, Alexander's playing with the object. And the 2 leads retract into it. He freaks out. It's alive, it's alive. And he grabs the nearest guy, which is Raymond. And Raymond, once he realizes what Alexander's talking about, goes and gets Runt. And so more discussion about solar panel use ensues. Again, in the live play. Several days go by. And a letter comes, addressed to Wes. It is in Norse, so Raymond reads it. It's a dinner invitation with Herman. And 2 more days. So you got 2 days to get prepped, kind of thing. So those 2 days go by. A coach comes to the vineyard and takes Wes to Jason's Arms restaurant. The doorman asks about my reservation. I hand him the letter and says I have an appointment. Oh, this place, once you get inside, is fancy. It looks like a restaurant you would find at Telgar. And Wes is escorted to a private dining room. And Herman says, we're here to meet with Thormund, the guild recorder. He's extremely talented and very knowledgeable. He's also very cautious. He's one of the most talented of the mages in the guild. And if we could win his interest, that would go considerably well with our interests of your sponsorship and contact with the guild. They have some drinks. Oh, and they mention, don't drink too much. But Wes just has a taste to see what it was like, and apparently it was supposed to make some kind of contact, but he missed his role. Some context, but he missed his role. But after some time, Thormund arrives. He is quite tall, and Wes is not really that big. He's only size 12, and size 13 is average, right? So he greets Herman specifically and congratulates him on his activities out at the mine. Then he turns to Wes, and puts his hand out. Wes shakes his hand. And when they make contact, Wes can feel a presence in his mind. And it's seeking to see if I'm any kind of a threat. And there's some rolls made. We do a power versus, I don't know, power versus power, but we make a power roll. First, he asks what my power is. We make some rolls, that kind of thing. And Thurmond says to Herman, "You have brought quite a prize. I'm impressed. Most impressed. And at that point, Herman seems to think, okay, things are going well. We're going to make this happen. And the conversation somehow gets to back about the school at Telgar and stuff like that. And Wes starts, asking about, questions about, I thought Karsh was completely separated. And he says, no, physically separated commerce is gone because of the piracy and that kind of stuff. Yeah, but there are, and we're politically separated. But, certain groups can communicate with each other. Excuse me. And so Wes asks, hey, can we possibly get a message back to the College Telgar? Certain engagements could be created to convey such a message, yes. But that's not why we're here. Is it, Herman? Herman becomes blustered and this is not a simple social engagement, right? He's acting as a mediator. And he says, so, Herman, after many years, you found someone to pique my interest. And he tells Wes, once we get your membership, we will have things to discuss. And dinner pretty much ends, blah, 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 blah. Evening comes to an end. Thurmond leaves. And Wes gets in the carriage, goes back to the vineyard, and it tells everybody that we can make communication with the College of Telgar. That they've got some kind of magical communication going back between the guild here and the college in Telgar. So we can at least report back all the stuff we did. And there's a quick discussion about, what have we done in reference to our mission, right? About how the Howler had was at Goldak, and had moved from Goldak to Minok. That there's a knight of Ariok who was going to Minok as well. That the priest we were following was in fact in Minok and was sent to Goldak. That Hedda was in Minok for some time, spying for the Upright Man. And the Upright Man, the Day Man, and the Night Man are the three guys that run the Thieves Guild in Telgar. So we're all discussing this as, above the table kind of stuff to make sure, this is stuff you got to report. A few more days go by, and then several days go by. And then a letter arrives from, it says Thurmond here. Is it Thurmond or Thurmond? I think it's Thurmond. It's written in Latin, and Wes can read Latin, but, not very well. It seems to be some kind of official thing, and Wes is able to figure out a date, which is in 2 more days. So 2 days go by. He goes to the guild house, and at the guild house he's let in. Shows the letter. Let in. They go upstairs. Throughout the house somewhere. And he's presented to a door. Wes knocks. It opens up by itself. And Thurmond says, come in, Wes, come in. The place itself is a nice office, though it's cluttered. There are windows into the courtyard in the back of the area here, so it's a nice office, right? There are bird cages, and there's birds and other animals in skeletal poses. No, the skeletons are posed, right? There's books and scrolls. There's a workbench. It's a bit messy, kind of cluttered, but it's obvious that he's got multiple projects going on at the same time. And Thurmond says, I wanted to welcome you to the guild on my sponsorship. And there's a little discussion about what that really means, right? So if you dork things up, that comes back on me, so keep your nose clean kind of stuff. And as a welcoming gift, I wish to offer you the opportunity to speak with someone at the College of Mages. And he goes into a closet and comes out with this crystal. It says, who would you like to make contact with? And Wes tells him, Mistress Z, I forgot her full name, but who was his mentor, School of Spirit Mastery in the College of Telgar. And so they make contact, and we can see there she is, Mistress Z, and she says, "Westland." She's got a little smirk on her face. "Delightful to hear from you." And at that, the guy goes, "What?" And then West, "Can you get word to Sir Michael about? I've got a report to make on our mission." And she says, "I can do better than that. I would be remiss if I didn't let your cousin know of your situation. Give me a moment." And then she returns with Tamra, who then, through the crystal thing, greets Thurmond and says, "Thank you for finding our wayward and dear cousin." Emphasizing, take care of this guy. I don't want him hurt. Oh man, the pressure is just building. He's, "Oh my lady, I was not expecting you." And then she actually steps through the crystal and is there in the guild house. Alarms go off. Thurman says, "Let me take care of this," and leaves. "Let me go take care of that," he says. So he steps out. The alarm goes out. She asks, "How are you? How are you really? How are you?" And he didn't fess up about the stress of living with no money. But he does say, "We are doing well. We run into a couple dangers, that kind of stuff." But gives a full report. "Hey, this is everything we have seen." So there's some discussion about, that's important. The Howler and a Knight of Arok and Minok. That's news. We need to know that kind of stuff. And there's some discussion about his situation here in Karsh. The fact that the Baron here has his own designs, and everybody knows that. But the college, because she is in fact a magic user, so she's a member of the college. The college and the guild, they stand apart from all this political stuff. And because of the political situation, Karsh does not really want to rectify the communication. They don't want a reconnection. They like it on their own, that kind of thing. And she says, "This does put a feather in your cap, doesn't it?" And I'm not quite tracking on that exactly. But after a bit of time goes by, she goes back through. After a bit of time, goes, "Oh, maybe that's a bit." Yeah, it's kind of a thing. But anyway, after she leaves, the door unlocks. And then Thurman comes in. He says, "You could have warned me. Your relations. You are going to have enemies here, but friends as well. You do need to take care." "Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't let anybody know who I really was." Oh. And he says, "Hey, word's already spreading. The Baron will be made aware of you and your connections. Well, you don't need to fear him. You do need to take care. The Baron will need to be handled delicately." Again, these underground controlling factors, right? Everybody has their own stream of politics. But anyway, as a sponsored member of the guild, you will have spaces and resources made available to you. And he shows me my office, a small place, fairly far. You just got a table and a chair kind of thing for now. And, why do you want to be a member of the guild? And I said, "I need to expand my repertoire. I'm specifically looking at shield mastery." And he says, "The steward will see to that, as well as your office. A guild coach is available for your use. Your sponsorship will provide you some status here as well, in addition to all of this that had happened in the office. And as the week goes by, I'll be introduced to the guild members themselves. As this week goes by, Raymond is translating the book on plant mastery. His attempt has not turned out too well. Alexander and his animal handling, he's able to get some things, find out this dog is very intelligent, and that he can be trained to certain commands. I think he was given a number you can train him for X number of commands. I don't remember what that number was. Runt is at the temple. I guess at the end of this week, I should probably stick a week in there. Sorry about my note taking. But anyway, so Runt is at the temple, and someone is wounded is brought in, and there's blood all over the place. Runt tries to do some first aid on him. I think the guy came in by himself, and that's why, because Runt's out front, and he sees, I try to do some first aid. It's not successful. And then other people come running. They grab him, take him, and thank you for your help, Runt. But yeah, we'll take care of this. And so Runt starts trying to mop up blood, that kind of thing. And it turns out that the force that Captain Krim had commanded out to the mine was ambushed. And this guard doesn't know what the outcome was because she got separated and she returned to Karst to let everybody know about this ambush. They're ambushed by a large group of goblins. So we need to get further troops to get sent to the mine to furthermore should be sent to the mine, help to secure the mine itself, fight off these goblins. We need to get some reinforcements going. Runt goes and gets Wes, because Wes is in town. They come together. Tells about the ambush, and then we head back to the temple. And we find Heta talking with the high priestess. Then Heta gives genuflex to the high priestess, and then starts to leave. But as she's leaving, she has to come by us. She sees us, and she gives Wes the evil eye again, and says hi to Runt as she leaves. But we're not going to bother. Wes is kind of not following her, but seeing where she's going, because he's thinking she's going to go to the east gate, but she doesn't. She goes the other way and disappears. Okay, so back inside the temple. Wes suggests to go see the high priestess, and we do, because Wes doesn't want to step on any toes here, and asks the priestess, "Hey, is there going to be a rescue party? We can help." The high priestess is there with the other captain. They thank Runt for trying to help, for offering his first aid, and then offers to teach him. We can help you with your first aid skills. That's something we can teach you. I mentioned, we can go ahead. We can go and we can scout ahead. But we don't have a ride. He says, "Oh, we can get you horses. Somebody's doing something. That's about time. Let's get going." That'll speed the effort. So we go to the stables. There we go. Go to the stables. We get the horses. There's a pack horse and she gathers up supplies. We get 2 weeks of supplies, a pack horse, and riding horses for everyone. And then Runt and I head to the villa to get everyone ready. Traveling on the road. So day out, we get to the inn. There's discussion: are we going to stop at the inn or not? And there's, hey, last time we got ambushed. Well, we need to see if they know anything, though. The only thing they knew was the one guard who'd come through on the way south. Continue on the road. A couple days later, we have an encounter. We can see the trees up ahead being pushed aside by something large. So I think it was Alexander said, "Everybody get down!" So we pull the horses off the side, get some bushes, and try and hide. The dog starts to growl. But down the road, coming out of the trees, to the edge of the road is a giant. It's about 800 feet away, and he's near the roadway now. So a giant. There's some discussion about giants going on, right? But we just hold our spot. Giant crosses the road, continues on whatever he's doing. Raymond recognizes this as being a hill giant, and this is not the lands for a hill giant. These should be closer to the mountains, kind of thing. So something weird's going on. And Alexander's speculating that the hill giant was with the goblins in this whole ambush thing. And we all decide that, on the way back, after we fix the situation on the back, we can check out what this giant is, because obviously we can follow this trail. Okay, we continue to travel, start to approach the mine, and Alexander finds a spot in the road where an altercation obviously occurred. There's evidence of the goblins and the guards and the combat that had happened here, and it doesn't really appear that one side, had won over the other. Excuse me, my goodness. Anyway, so the goblins went off one direction, and the guards went back up the road towards the mine. And as we continue going, the dog starts to growling at something and does his little point thing. He's already got skills. The dog already has skills. So Runt pulls his glowing deck, his glower dang, but it's not glowing. You know, it glows in the presence of something. I forgot now. Undead. I think it was. It glows in the presence of undead. But it's not. So Raymond, everybody dismounts. Raymond dismounts and everybody else follows. And then he and Alexander should move up ahead because Raymond can't sneak, but Alexander can. But there's certain things Raymond has skills with that Alexander doesn't necessarily have. So sneak and spot kind of thing, right? So the two of them go up. Runt and Wes stay at the rear with the horses. And when they get up ahead, they see goblins are camped at the mine. At that, Alexander goes around and tries to sneak up as close as he can to the camp. Turns out there's about 20 goblins there. You know, goblins aren't very rigid in their camps, right? So it's kind of a mess. Apparently there are 6 that are currently up guarding the entrance to the mine. They've got some barricade stuff up, that kind of deal. So the mine is being besieged. You know, we speculate that the guards are inside the mine holding up. And then there's some discussion amongst us about, okay, what can we do next? I mean, if Wes can get within 100 feet, he's got that Lord Sleep, which is 20 levels of sleep. So he could do, because Wes is thinking, or Brian anyway, is thinking that the 20 goblins are all up. There's some discussion about the fact that goblins are nocturnal creatures. So we don't want to necessarily stay and try and do this at night. So we need to hit them now or go back and hide and wait till the next morning kind of thing. And then there's some discussion about maybe a couple people could sneak up now because, you know, how observant are goblin guards, right? And they could sneak up and try and get inside and things don't happen and make a diversion to get the goblins to diverse so we can get up closer. You know, the kind of stuff's going on. And then at that point, because any kind of combat would take a significant amount of time, and at that point we were getting close to closing time anyway. So we bow out, but you will notice if you listen to the live play, it goes to the end. I didn't shut the live play off yet, and I'm closing stuff out. My son comes down to talk to me, so there's some discussion about us when I got to the point where I'm closing out the recording. So just ignore the end. Don't worry about that part. Oh, and happy gaming.